Hello, welcome. I'm sorry if you've gotten a lot of notifications that I'm going live. Sorry, I've had quite a few technical difficulties and or my sons were asleep, and that's why I was starting this early. One of them has woken up and it's giving me a little bit of a fit, so hopefully he will stay asleep on my lap until we're done. This shouldn't be too long, but I did want to start while at least one of them is still quiet. This one hopefully will go back to bed. So welcome. Thank you so much for joining me in this first phantom pregnancy awareness support and education, specifically on this group. This is the first time I've gone live about phantom pregnancy on this group, and so I wanted to do a brief intro. My name is Crystal Lujan, Driving Hawk. I am married. I haven't changed my name on Facebook. Age 31. My occupation, I have a nursing background. I am a full-time stay-at-home mother currently and wife. So I do have my hands very busy with that. But I am a breastfeeding advocate and consultant, self-taught nutritionist, herbalist, gardener, and forager. I like to garden. This is my third year gardening, like for reals gardening, as far as like my whole backyard, like a third of my backyard is pretty much all garden. And so, like previous to this, I just like had house plants or like a few herbs that eventually I'd forget to water and they would die, but for the last 3 years I've been able to have a garden we plant around this time, so May, the end of middle of May, and it goes until October, the end of October, when everything freezes. So you harvest pretty much everything before it freezes and then bring it all in, and I think this year we're going to can. Anyways, way off subject. This is about phantom pregnancy awareness, and it's not about gardening or canning. If you are interested in those topics, I am definitely open to giving pointers or suggestions on how to do indoor gardening or outdoor gardening. And I also want to note that I am a full-time researcher. I research all the time on all kinds of subjects for all kinds of reasons. But I do this all the time, constantly. I'm constantly finding new things. And this all goes back to being a full-time stay-at-home mother. This has, become essentially my job, although I don't like to look at it as a job in that way, because the word job does have negative, anyways, so I have done a lot of research, into phantom pregnancy education and awareness, and support groups that are available. And there isn't very much out there there's a lot on education. It's kind of, there's a lot of articles on phantom pregnancy and things like that. You have to get into, the medical things, and, there's not too many medical studies on phantom false pregnancy or pseudocyesis in general. There were some back, but in history, as far as in recent times, there hasn't been too many thorough studies. Although I have found quite a few people, as far as sorry, went down the wrong pipe. I've read quite a few articles on people who are studying to become doctors or nurses, and they come across these people in their during their studies, and they'll write up papers to their professors about them, and the characteristics of them, and they always put it in a very negative, well, not negative, but I mean it is a very, because medical terminology is very cut and dry, and sometimes it seems very unsympathetic. They are describing the woman correctly, but they are not really grasping her whole situation, because they're just seeing it as, oh, this lady has pretty much lost it. Which, she could be a perfectly sane person and just think that she's pregnant. It doesn't mean that she's crazy about every aspect in her life, or it could mean that she does have a mental disability or mental illness that has been diagnosed and she ignores it, or it hasn't been diagnosed. And maybe she doesn't have the ability to go to the doctor and get this diagnosis to know that she's more susceptible to this delusion and or this making up this entire experience and falling into the fantasy of an extended gestational cryptic pregnancy, a pregnancy that lasts 2 to 5 years. She's more, if she has a mental illness, or even if you're depressed, or you've had any kind of schizophrenia, bipolar, I mean, there's so many disorders that people have that never get diagnosed. So how do people know whether or not they're more susceptible to making up a delusion or falling into the idea of pregnancy when they're not actually pregnant, or even the idea of an extended gestational cryptic pregnancy? These things, become very easy, So, also, false pregnancy denial. A lot of women will say, well, you can say that you have had a false pregnancy, but many women won't. They'll say they might not even admit it to themselves because they don't want to feel humiliated by themselves that they've made up pregnancy. So false pregnancy denial, due to a woman's fear of being humiliated or her fear of getting a bad reputation, because she's made up this false pregnancy, phantom pregnancy experience. And so the only way to get rid of women denying that they've ever made up a pregnancy or made up pregnancy symptoms is to bring women together in this very common and shared experience, to provide support and awareness and education, maybe even have studies and share the history and spiritual connection of a phantom or false pregnancy. I want to create a safe place where it is okay to share these very common experiences. Be open with my experience in hopes that it will inspire others to be open with their experience. So that women, even if you thought you were pregnant for like 2 hours it was still a delusion of pregnancy. You were still making up these thoughts and ideas that you were pregnant when you weren't pregnant, or you didn't know if you were actually pregnant or not. Maybe you actually turned out to be pregnant, and then you were like, oh, see, I just knew I was pregnant. But see, when I was trying to conceive my first son, pretty much every month we were actively trying to conceive. I was like, oh, I'm pregnant this month. I just know I am. And then I would take the test and it'd be negative, and I'd be like, oh, and then, my heart would be broken. And then I would be like, okay, we're going to try next month. And with my first son, it took us 4 months. I got pregnant on the 4th month. But those 3 months, I was convinced that I was pregnant every single month. Even if it was for that 2-week wait, I still thought for that whole 2 weeks, I'm pregnant. I am pregnant, I'm pregnant, I'm pregnant. All these symptoms started, my boobs hurt, every symptom under the sun happened, and I was absolutely sure I was pregnant, and then I wasn't for those 3 months. And then the 4th month that I actually ended up being pregnant, I didn't even have thoughts that I was pregnant, because I didn't even have any symptoms. No symptoms at all, really. And I didn't start, my symptoms didn't really start until a week after I took the test, and it was positive. And I took the test 3 weeks after, no, a week after my missed period. So, my symptoms didn't start until I was almost like 6-7 weeks pregnant. No, 5-6 weeks pregnant. Yeah, because then I started right away, and then I started throwing up. So, yes. So, anyways, I think it's a good idea for women to share their experiences in making up pregnancy symptoms. I don't think it's anything to be ashamed of, because we have the ability to be pregnant, and so we can be pregnant. Now, it's like when men, because men can have false pregnancies as well, and I've done research in the fact that false pregnancy is common in people who are spiritual or use a sexual energy, such as like yogis and
Phantom pregnancy awareness at 2 p.m.
Sorry guys, that was my alarm since I started early. What was I saying? Oh yes, spiritual, it's common in yogis and in people who are like, what am I trying to say? People who use like their kundalini. If you know what that is, I suggest you research it. Or if you don't know what that is, research it. You're using your energy to go. It goes through your body, goes through your different chakras, and you're using this kundalini energy. And it's not uncommon for people who do this to experience false pregnancies. And so essentially, without, I know it's kind of difficult to understand without the background, but essentially what these people are doing is they're holding on to this either spiritual energy or this sexual energy, and they're holding it into their body, and this manifests into false pregnancy symptoms for some reason or another. And that's something I'm still researching to get an idea of why something like this could create a false pregnancy and how that all works, as far as like energy and where this energy is coming from. Because, what if these women aren't aware that, or, they don't even have knowledge of, your chakras or your kundalini or energy or anything like that, but somehow they're still experiencing this spiritual pregnancy or phantom pregnancy, how that all ties in. Because, especially in the extended, the extended gestational cryptic pregnancy community, where these women have these groups where they tell each other they're pregnant, how that all works, as far as energy, working off of each other's energy goes. But I think I hope this inspires some people to share with family or friends or loved ones, somebody you trust, about your experience, so that you can slowly become more comfortable in experiencing something like a false pregnancy and beginning to trust your body again, beginning to trust what you feel again, and I hope this just helps inspire women and anybody who watches that it's okay to have experienced a false pregnancy or a delusion of pregnancy. Yes, Leo.
No, my die. Die.
Okay. I'm almost done.
No, Mimi's.
Rose Mimi's. Shh. Can you go play with those toys over there?
Okay.
And I want to provide a place of support for women who have experienced a false pregnancy. I've done a lot of research in this particular subject, and through that research I've found that the support system for something like this is pretty much non-existent. I've got in contact with authors and people who are supposed to be experts in pseudocyesis or false pregnancies, and basically gave me absolutely no support or education or resources or options or ideas or anything. She just basically told me to go away, which is really sad. So I want to be that place that women, if you've gone through something like this and you want to find healing from it, even if you experienced it years ago, experiencing something like this can be devastating, but it's something you can heal from, and with the right support and education and the right tools, you can do that healthily, and you can heal your body from the symptoms, and you can heal your body from the mind part of it, because you have to feel like you have to trust your body again, and for me, it made the mind-body connection very real. It made it very tangible, and it made it pretty much something that I could hold on to. If I was able to if my mind was able to convince my body that I was pregnant, my belly grew, I felt movement that responded to light, sound, and sugary foods. If I had Braxton Hicks contractions, if I had round ligament pains, if I had all of it, I felt exactly like my other pregnancies to a certain extent. So if my mind could do that to my body perfectly, on time, like, I started feeling movement exactly the same time that I started feeling movement with both my boys. And that wasn't something that I was like trying to like plan. I didn't count it on a calendar. I can tell you that my body literally did it. It like timed it perfectly, so that I was like, oh my God, this is like exactly like my other 2 pregnancies. I'm feeling movement around 16 weeks. And so this has to be, I have to be pregnant. And so if my mind can do that to my body, and my body delivers with these symptoms, very real symptoms, it was a very real experience, then I can do the opposite. Then I can tell my mind to tell my body that I am super healthy, that I'm the healthiest I've ever been, that, you know, I have energy, and all of this works. Being more positive towards my body through my thoughts has created a much more healthier body. Even though I have changed my diet, I haven't, you know, I mostly changed the way I talk to myself. And that was one of the hardest things for me to do, besides changing my diet. Because changing my diet was hard. It's you know, it's not something that's easily done. It is hard. But changing my thought pattern and how I talk to myself was much more vigorous, but it was something that was so needed. It was so needed. And I'm so glad that I was able to confront myself with these things and actually like be real with myself and stop trying to be so right all the time. Because this experience pretty much humbled me all the way down to the bone. I thought, like I've said in other videos, I walked into my ultrasound thinking there was 100% going to be a baby in there. And when I walked out, I knew there wasn't a baby in there, because she didn't say there was. If there was, she would have said, look at your baby, look. Oh, it's so cute, blah, blah, blah. She didn't do that, so that's why I freaked out, went to my doctor. But I was wrong. That was what I came out of it with. It didn't matter, like, I was wrong. Like, I knew my body. I do know my body. I know my body so well. But that doesn't matter. My mind told my body listened. And yeah, I know my body. I was feeling the symptoms. It was a real experience. I wasn't making up the symptoms. The symptoms were real. Sometimes the symptoms put me on the couch for days because I was in so much pain, from round ligament pain for hours. It was like constant. And I was like, how could this not be a pregnancy? There's just no way. And there is. It does happen. Your mind and body are connected. And there are so many other ways of proving the mind-body connection. And so, I've done a lot of research into that too. So if you guys are interested, I can always put some of that research into the group. As far as how the mind convinces the body that it is pregnant, I'm going to read this. Oh, yes, it's okay if you're wrong. It might not feel like it at first. It might feel like, oh my God, this sucks. I can't believe I'm wrong. And you might want to hide from yourself. You may not want to even think about it. You may want to put it far back into your memory and not think about it again. Please, please, please don't do that. This is something you need to heal from. Because even if that even if you aren't pregnant, you either wanted a pregnancy or you don't want a pregnancy. Either way, there's a reason why you just didn't believe the pregnancy test. Like I've said before in other videos, I didn't want to be pregnant when I was experiencing my phantom pregnancy. I didn't want a pregnancy. I wasn't trying to conceive. For some reason, my subconscious wanted to be pregnant. And I've, done some self-searching, and I think that came from deep down inside wanting to have a girl. Because I have 2 little boys. For some reason, I think my subconscious wanted a girl, and I didn't want to admit that to myself. Anyways, I've come to terms with the fact that I don't have a girl because I don't want a 3rd child. I only want 2 kids, and I was blessed with 2 little boys, and that's what I get. I don't want to add a 3rd to our family unit. I don't think that is the right choice for us. It is not the right choice for me as a mother. I know that with a 3rd child, I would be spread way too thin. Maybe in like the future, but even then I doubt it, because by then they'll be pretty independent and I wouldn't want to start all over. But we're not taking any precautions to avoid it, besides family planning, not having sex around the time I'm ovulating and things like that. So if it does happen, it happens, but it's not something that I am like hoping for, and I think at the time that I was experiencing my phantom pregnancy, my subconscious was hoping for a girl. But yes, if it turns out that you're not pregnant, then it's not the end of the world. It's not the end of the world to be wrong sometimes, especially about something like this, because you experience PMS symptoms, and PMS symptoms are exactly like pregnancy symptoms, and it's like, oh my gosh, why? Leo, shh. Can you go in your room? I hope. Why did you have to get that straw? I see you're drinking milk. You're sharing it with the kitty? Okay.
See?
Yes. Okay. Hold on. Okay. So I hope, this video and, future videos that I intend on making about phantom pregnancy awareness to hopefully inspire other women to come forth with their experiences, past experiences, present experiences, maybe even encourage their friends to share. It's a very Leo. Shh. It's a very healing experience to share something like this. Like, even if it's with somebody you trust, just alone in a room with just the 2 of you, you'll be so amazed at how freeing you'll feel telling your experience. So even if you're just doing it with a friend, do it, please. I really, really hope that you give yourself that opportunity to be humbled and to admit to somebody else that you were wrong. Because not only admitting it to yourself, but admitting it to somebody else, then that allows that person you're admitting it to, I'm I'm sorry if that's so loud. Shh. Even if that person, even that allows the person you're admitting it to possibly confide in you about something that they've been hiding from themselves or others. And they'll be able to heal from that experience. Or they'll be able to share a phantom pregnancy or false pregnancy or delusion of a pregnancy experience with you. And then you guys will have that shared experience, that shared, you know, support. You'll be able to support each other on a level that not very many other people can support unless people talk about experiences like this. So it's like, unless you shared that experience with your friend, how would she have shared an experience like that with you? So it opens those doors. I think that's all I'm going to cover in this particular video. If I'm going to leave it open for any questions, if anybody has any. I hope you guys have a great day. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Please know that this shared experience is very common and that it is okay to have experienced something like this. You're so strong and you can do whatever you want in life, and because of that, you can create whatever you want in life. And so I hope that this gives women the courage and a platform to share their experiences and their knowledge and support one another in something like phantom, false, or delusion of pregnancy. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you have a great day. Be well. Be healthy. Bye.